Hello everyone, my name is Iryna Tkachuk, I'm an artist and founder of the permanent makeup studio ti.lab. Today I want to talk with you on a very important topic. I think it will be relevant both for novices and artists with experience. This is the topic of hand position. What should it be like and how to place it correctly for the most productive work. Unfortunately, very often I encounter such a problem when people contact me, either on online masterclasses or full-time masterclass, but girls, the problem is the same, the problem of hand position. Unfortunately, at the basic training, these artists didn't get all detailed information, and probably the emphasis on the fact that positioning your hand is one of the fundamental factors that will give you quality work wasn't made. It's important not just to place your hand correctly, but significant to understand why exactly this way and what it can lead to. Let's say what this can lead to if you pinch your hand, and today I would like to emphasize exactly this point to tell you the nuances that will help you relax your hand, make correct position, and what you need to pay attention to when you work with a client, a device, and do permanent makeup. Look, the first thing you should understand is that your hand must be in absolute hold, that is, your elbow must be fixed to something, either this is a couch or this is a client. Many feel embarrassed to put their hand on a client. There's nothing terrible in it if you put your hand on the forearm or on the client's chest to fix the elbow, because with a dangling elbow, it's very difficult to work and keep balance in your hand, especially if you have a heavy apparatus. Next, you put your elbow in and take the apparatus. While working with the apparatus, fixation of this part of your hand should also be stable, fixed. You place the edge of your palm on the client's face. It can be a cheek or it can be a nose. You should have some support, so your hand won't try to find some balance or swing. You must clearly understand that you control your machine, and you should feel comfortable in order to take control of your device. By the way, about the convenience, when I do train girls, recently I've had a case on the last masterclass, that a girl felt extremely uncomfortable placing her hand in the right position, though she couldn't make correct strokes with her usual hand position. She had low-quality shading. What I'm trying to say, that when you retrain, it's very uncomfortable for sure, but you have to make yourself do it only once, realize how it's right, come to a productive shading, and get used to this position. That your hand should be in a clear fixation, not elevated, but in a clear fixation, then you will control your stroke. Next, as for the fingers, well, in permanent makeup, directly in the process of work, it's not your hand that should work, not a wrist, but only fingers, and basically these two fingers. Why two? You hold the machine practically by the module, by the cartridge, and with your index finger you push the machine towards yourself. If you work back and forth, you can push it out with your middle finger. In any case, you should only have these two fingers working. Your thumb shouldn't be pinched, a very common mistake when artists hold the apparatus so firm, and thus they get a very traumatic strokes with minimal productivity. Accordingly, you should understand that your device should be between these two fingers, the index and middle one, and the thumb just hold the apparatus so that it doesn't fall out, and while working you make strokes not by the wrist, but exclusively by these two fingers. So, how can you check yourself if you're working correctly? Look, I'm working and only the bottom of my device is moving. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. But if I work with all my hand, see, the whole machine is moving. So, don't do like this, because in this case you will make efforts and puncture the skin, while you need to glide the needle on the surface. That is, you sort of... that's difficult to explain in words. It should slide on the surface, leaving a trail of dots behind. If you drag it out, then you will get such a sinking motion as if you dig up the skin. Look, if I take another device, this is my bulging mast, I will also hold the device by the module in exactly the same way, and I will work with exactly the same movements. In this case, I have only fingers work, and the device will move over the surface of skin. You see, the bottom of the apparatus moves tick-tock, 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 Let's have a look at a small one. This is javelin, the same thing. I hold the device by the module, and in this way I create a slide over the skin. See? Any device that would get into your hand, no matter how you work, I recommend keeping all devices below for module and work exactly with smooth sliding movements. Namely, you should sleep on the surface of skin. You have such a movement, not exactly as a pendulum swing, that is, you go down, here you're accelerating. Look, it's my imaginary surface, so you have acceleration here, gradually move down, slide the machine, come out, go down, slide, come out. I show a large amplitude for your better understanding, but the amplitude on the surface of the zone you're working on should be minimal. Let's move around and watch this process in action on the latex training mat, so you can clearly see it from the side. So look, my elbow is fixed, I've put my hand on the edge of the palm, hold the module with 2 fingers, and guys, I haven't said yet such an important point. While working, you should feel the tension with your other hand and the area which you strain. It should be small, literally 2 centimeters. Never pull like this the whole eyebrow. Strain that section. Don't even strain but straighten and do this kind of stretch like of a drum of the zone you're working on. I will not hold my hands here now for you to see exactly the movement of the apparatus and my hand. So I turn on the device and let's watch. I'm now showing the correct movement just of a slide on the surface. You see? First I accelerate in the air. I don't immediately go down to the surface. I just make a movement in the air and pay attention, only my fingers move. These 2 fingers create movements for my apparatus. The thumb only holds so that the device doesn't fall out, and look at the bottom of the machine, how it behaves. Here's our correct motion. Wrong movement, emphasizing wrong movement, it's when you move your whole hand. It's even hard for me to reproduce it. Okay, I'll try. So I make effort not to go deep. I'm really trying. That is, the amplitude of the machine's tail is no longer the same. My hand works and, by the way, working like this, when I move my entire hand, the wrist has more tension and it gets tired more. Now I'll show you next mistake, when your hand is not fixed. Anyway, such moments sometimes happen when you can't put your hand on the client. In this case, I press my elbow very tightly to myself. But if it's a regular pain somewhere out there, in the area where you can put your hand and fix, do it. So I'll paint now without hand fix, but I'll probably paint over somehow, because I feel the skin more or less. But still, it's hard to perform strokes. I dig in at some moments, my machine is heavy, it creates the imbalance by itself and buries into the skin. Let's wipe and see what we get. Look guys, we got 3 different drawings. This one actually is quite fine, but here there are such inclusions where my needle went deeper than it should have to. In this picture, hooks are specifically visible, as I said before, as if you dig. As for this sample, there's gentle, uniform structure, smooth shade. All the dots are the same. This effect we get when sliding on the latex mat. Now I want to show you this shading close for better understanding. So look, I'm accelerating in the air and gradually landing as if pulling the apparatus. A bit difficult because my fingers are in Vaseline. I'm pulling the device on the surface, sliding the needle. You can work either in one direction or Or you can do it in both directions. Everything depends on the technique you use, but anyway, both of them are possible. You get very gentle, smooth, homogeneous dust. Well, here we got a picture. Of course, in two directions it'll be more productive painting, but if you feel the skin in a bad way, I don't recommend you to work in two directions. Hone your skills of making strokes in one direction. I hope that I managed to convey to you the main points that must be taken into account when placing the hand and while working. If this tutorial was useful and informative for you, write a comment down below the video. I read everything, see, and I'm grateful for feedback. Of course, it's very pleasant. Besides, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give thumbs up as well as tap the bell icon. Tapping the bell icon is very important so that you don't miss new interesting and useful videos from us. Thanks to everyone. See you soon.
А ты-то... Ну, зубы блестят, тоже запудрить них?
А ты можешь?
Нет.
Waking up in my bed, you're still stuck in my head. I'm not even